Hi everyone, and welcome along to another episode of the Simple Knit podcast. My name is Eleanor. You can find me on Instagram as Simple Knit Co and hanging out here on YouTube, chatting to you about all the projects that I'm working on at the moment. If this is your first time checking out the podcast, welcome. It's basically just a crafty show and tell, live, not quite live, but live from my house. I just share with you all the projects that I've been knitting, so if that sounds like something that you're into, I hope you enjoy. And a big hello to all of my returning viewers. It's always lovely to spend some time with you. So here we are. I've just got a couple of projects to share with you today. Everything I'm working on are quite kind of labor intensive projects, so not kind of quick finishes. So they're just I have a couple of big projects in progress. That's a bit of a tongue twister. And that's all I've got to share with you today. So pour yourself a drink. I've got a nice hot cup of coffee. Even though it is a million billion degrees here in Brisbane already, I still like hot coffee. It's like a sauna. When it's hot outside, drink some hot coffee inside, it's just like a little schwitz. It's very, very refreshing. Probably not for anyone else but me, but I enjoy it. Such a little personal overshare for today. I'll just pop my drink down. Before I get talking about the knitting, I just want to show you these earrings that I'm obsessed with. So they're from a local earring jewelry maker. Her shop's called Busyhead. I will link it down below. These ones are from her, she just done a museum collection, and they're like a butterfly board. So it's like you see in the bug section of a museum with a little mounted butterflies. They're super light plastic. They kind of feel like those things you used to make when you were a kid that you shrink in the oven. It kind of has that feel to it, and I love them because they're big without being gaudy. Like lots of my big earrings are quite gaudy, but these are very like subtle neutral colors, kind of blend in, but they're still really fun. So yeah, just wanted to talk about my earrings. So the second thing is the way we usually say that, is what I'm wearing today. So this is my beach tank by Jess Schreibstein. I think I showed it as a finished object in the last podcast episode, but I am wearing it today. It is knit in Wool and the Gang Tina tape yarn in some sort of navy. It's navy, whatever the navy colorway is called. And yeah, I really love it. As you can see, the little modification I made was I did the I-cord straps as little shoulder ties. It did take me a while to get them even so that I'm nice and symmetrical for the podcast. You're welcome. It did take a little while to just get the straps even, but other than that, I'm super happy with it. I'll show you the length. I'll just stand up for like 2 seconds. So it just comes to like the top of my hip bones, and yeah, it's just a simple knit tank top. It's a super quick project. Highly recommend. This is my second one. I have yarn for a third one. I just love it. It's the perfect summer knit if you live in a hot climate. So highly recommend that. So the first project that I have to show you today is a quite long, languishing work in progress. I started it last year sometime and kind of put it to the side because it is very labor intensive and quite slow, but I really want the finished garment, so I'm trying to like knuckle down and get it done. So this is what I have so far. So this is the Ripple crop top by Jessie May Martinson. I'm knitting the size large, I believe, and this is what I've got so far. So the yarn that I'm using is a Cartier yarn. It's called Polynesia, and it's a cotton, I think cotton acrylic something blend. So it's quite thin and shiny, but it has these little bits of like quite like loosely spun cotton. So it kind of has little thick and thin sections. So I have been working on this project for a while, and it was like a bit of a false start for me originally. So this was definitely about 12 months ago now. I started it, and because this yarn is for some reason they advertise it as like a DK weight yarn. I think it's because it has these thicker sections in it, but if you look at it, look how thin it is. There's no way that this is an 8 ply, that anything that you knit at that gauge would be just super gappy. And maybe that's the point. Maybe it's supposed to be a really light, airy gauge yarn, but that's not what I wanted. So Jessie has a worsted DK version of this pattern, which was the one that I originally cast on with this yarn, and obviously, like, it's at a looser gauge, bigger needles. It was flying by, and as I was working on it, I was looking at it, and I just wasn't happy with the gauge that it was working up at. It was really loose, quite gappy, and just wasn't going to be wearable in the way that I wanted to wear this garment. So I pulled it all out, all of it that I'd done. I went back to the original pattern that's written at a 4-ply fingering weight gauge and cast that one on. So there are a billion stitches. It's just a short sleeve top knit in 3x3 rib. And yeah, I'm just plowing along, but there are so many stitches on the needle. I believe I'm using a 3.5mm needle, which I believe is the recommended needle size, but I'm not 100% sure. But I'm knitting it on a 3.5, and yeah, I'm over halfway to where I need to be before I separate for the front and back. So I'm getting there, and the one good thing is, because this is it's like a small top, it's in quite a light yarn, I can actually carry this project around in my bag. Normally garment projects, you can't really do that, but especially because I'm just doing 3x3 rib in the round, I don't need to be paying too much attention, so I can just have this project with me, get it out when I'm out and about, when I'm chatting, when I'm on the phone or whatever. It's a good project to have for that. So I'm slowly just plugging away. I really want the finished top. I think it'll be so pretty. I love this color. I love this yarn. I think it's so nice, and it will be such a pretty top when it's done. I just want it to be done. So let's hope that I can just keep plugging along and get that project finished. So that is one of my works in progress. And the other one I hadn't cast on yet when I last spoke to you, but I've made some pretty significant progress actually. So this is the Deliciosa Sweater by Nora Gunn from the Brooklyn Tweed Fall collection. I think it was the part 1 of their Tear collection that they released. And this is some of what I have so far. So I've knit the whole back piece, and it is so pretty. Sure you can see that. So it is a cable pattern that creates these monstera leaves on a background of twisted rib, and I love it so much. So it starts with a really thick band of ribbing, which I think it looks so cool. I really love that really like slightly longer band of ribbing, and then you go into the cable pattern, and then you do the shoulder decreases. So it's quite a boxy jumper that then has kind of fitted sleeves in stockinette. I highly recommend you check it out. It's really gorgeous, and everyone's projects look really great. People have done it in really interesting colors, like a red one that looks really like reds and golds that look really autumnal, really dark shades that look really beautiful, or then the very leafy green color like I have used here. So I'm not using Brooklyn Tweed yarn. I'm using Knit Picks Wool of the Andes. This is I think it's the Everglade Heather colorway. I think I spoke about this last time, but I'll tell the story again. It's my podcast. I'd originally bought this yarn to make a different Brooklyn Tweed jumper, the Svensson by Jared Flood, which is an all-over cable jumper. And a couple of years ago in their holiday collection, they had released a version using their Arbor yarn in the colorway Wreath, which is a very similar, very like fresh, bright, planty green. And I thought it was just so gorgeous. So I bought this Knit Picks yarn to make that project. and I just never cast it on. I had this whole giant bag of this beautiful green yarn, and I just never quite got the whatever motivation to cast it on. And so the yarn had been sitting in my stash for a really long time, and then I saw this when I saw this posted on Instagram when they released the collection, I just had to have it. As you can see, I have a giant Monstera plant in the corner there that's just got a new leaf that's sticking up at the top there. So like I love that plant. I've somehow managed, I'm not great with plants, but this one is just thriving, which is very nice. And having this yarn, I just was motivated to cast it on right away, and that's what I did. And I absolutely love how it's come together. I would definitely not recommend this as like a first time, if it's the first garment you've ever made. If it's the first like cabled jumper that you've ever made, I probably wouldn't recommend this one. As with a lot of Brooklyn tweed patterns, it's only charted, there's no written instructions, and the repeats are actually quite long. I can show you a bit better because I have cast on the front piece. Here you go. And I've just started the cable pattern there, but as you can see, the chart is quite long, and because it is creating this leaf pattern, it doesn't have the kind of uniform regularity that cable patterns usually have. Like there will be a cable that runs up and you know that every few rows you twist it this way or that way, and so you can kind of get into the rhythm of the chart and of the pattern a little bit. That isn't in this, doesn't have that element of cable knitting in this jumper. It's a bit more free form. It's really fun, really addictive. It's so cool to watch the pattern come together and transform like from a flat chart on a page to a 3D thing in your hand. I absolutely love it. But yeah, probably not a beginner pattern, but you know, you can do anything you want to do. Don't listen to me. If you really want this jumper, just knit it. You'll be fine. Don't listen to me. You'll be fine. But I'm really enjoying the process of knitting it. It's just really satisfying, and I'm also really proud because these pieces are knit flat. I'm actually really proud of how even, this is blocked, but even before it was blocked, how even my stockinette gauge was. These bits that are just, so you're knitting on one side and purling on the other side. I'm really stoked with how even my gauge is, even here, this little tiny unblocked section. Like my tension is just really even, and that just makes me so happy. So I'm absolutely thrilled. I'm not going to be able to wear this for months and months unless, I don't know, the planet flips over or something. But I don't care. I'm having the best time. I'm having such a good time knitting on this project. So if you're looking for a jumper project, particularly Northern Hemisphere friends who are heading into the chilly season, and due to the fact that we are having a global pandemic, you're probably stuck at home with not a lot to do, highly recommend this pattern. And it looks, there's two body lengths as well. There's I'm knitting the cropped version, but there is a standard length that's a little bit longer, but honestly you can adapt the length however you, because you're knitting it from the bottom up, you can adapt the length to however long you want it to be. And everyone looks good. Like there's a whole bunch of projects on Instagram and on Ravelry if you're using Ravelry, and it looks stunning on everybody. So yeah, knit a Deliciosa. It's really great. Highly recommend that pattern. So that's really everything that I'm knitting on at the moment. As you can see, they're quite like big projects. I'm not getting any instant gratification, but I'm having a really great time working on these projects and being a bit of a knitting nerd, as we all are. And I think I'll just share with you one book that I'm reading at the moment. I'm like, once again, like partway through a billion books, but I've been reading this collection for a while. It's a short story collection by Lucia Berlin called A Manual for Cleaning Women. It's a short story collection. Lucia Berlin was a writer in the 20th century. She published a whole bunch of short fiction while like working normal jobs and doing a whole bunch of things, but her short fiction is honestly incredible. I'm almost done. I kind of will read a few and then put it down and come back to it because it's short fiction, you can do that. And they're just really, really beautiful stories. So if that's not really anything helpful on the back, but you know, inspired by her own life living in different parts of America, in South America, working in hospitals, working in schools, raising children, just living life. Really, really great stories. So if you enjoy some kind of realistic short fiction, I highly, highly recommend Lucia. And that's her. That's actually her. So that's kind of what I've been working on and reading. It's getting to that time of year where it gets very busy. Work gets busy, personal life gets busy. So hopefully I'll still be able to keep carving out some knitting time because it's my favorite thing to do. So let me know in the comment section down below what you're working on at the moment. Are you a good person who does gift knitting? Because if so, I would love to hear from that. And if you would like a self-esteem boost, I am here for you because I very much admire people who knit gifts for people. I probably will usually I like make some little Christmas decorations, mainly to give to like co-workers and friends, just like a little stocking stuffer kind of gift. But I'm not sure. I did little tiny Christmas stockings last year. And I did little colourwork mittens the year before, which never again. That was so fiddly. But if you have any suggestions for cute and quick Christmas ornament knitting, pop them down below as well. I would be very, very interested. So I hope you're all keeping safe and well wherever you are in the world, and I hope you're having a great time with your knitting. As I said, hit me up down below or on Instagram. Let me know what you're working on. I love to see and hear what's going on for you. So take care, happy knitting, and I will see you in the next podcast episode. Bye.